Welcome back to the podcast. Hope you're all having a fantastic week. Today we're going to be talking about how brands could be implementing personalisation into their website and other customer touch points to create a much more powerful experience for their customers. Customers these days are expecting more and more from websites, and we're seeing evidence that consumers are more and more willing to use different technologies, engage with tools, and even things like quizzes if they really see a benefit to using them. However, lots of companies just aren't keeping up with this. With me today, I've got Sarah Curran, the UK Managing Director for TrueFit, and we're going to be exploring a bit of the detail around personalisation and hopefully give you some great ideas to go away and think about for yourself. Hi, Sarah. Thanks for joining me on the podcast. Could you tell us a bit about yourself, a bit of your background and why you've got to where you are now?
Yeah, sure. Lovely to join you on your podcast. So my name's Sarah Curran. I'm currently the Managing Director for TrueFit EMEA. TrueFit is a global personalisation platform focused specifically within fashion in retail. My retail fashion journey was started in 2003 when I opened a physical store. I then went to launch my wardrobe in 2005. We were the second digital platform to launch within the EU territory. And then I subsequently left in 2011, joined Shop Direct as luxury director, launched Very Exclusive, which was a platform specifically for their premium customers, and we're selling sort of premium sort of product. I then left in 2017. I sit as a non-exec director for French Connection. I've also sat as an NED for other sort of fashion brands across Europe. And so everything I know about retail personalisation, I've sort of lived, breathed, grown through the pains. So when I had the opportunity to join TrueFit, I really jumped at the chance.
Awesome. So yeah, can you tell us a bit more about TrueFit then? Exactly what you do, because I've kind of got personalisation in mind, but I don't know if that's really the right word for how you describe it.
Don't be kind of confused by the reference to fit. So we launched in 2005. We were the first size and fit solution actually of its kind. And from that, the product stack has really evolved and grown. So obviously TrueFit, the name tends to make people think that all we do is size, fit and help sort of reduce returns. But actually now it's very much a platform that supports digital retail and e-com across every single touch point of the customer's journey and experience. So our focus is really one-to-one personalization, but it's also about driving up key metrics whilst they're on the journey, but it's also about supporting, through insights and intel, supporting the retailer and the brand in the supply chain understanding at the very beginning of that sort of customer's journey, before the product even lands online, right through to then dealing with and helping to drive down returns. So it's a real end-to-end personalization platform.
Okay, brilliant. So can you give us some examples of how it would actually affect the customer? So if you were a customer on a website, what sort of touch points would you experience?
Yeah, so the unique thing about TrueFit and the True Experience platform is what's called our genome. So the genome is very much the brains of the platform. So we have had obviously over 15 years worth of data that we've accrued. We've transacted on over $200 billion worth of sales and returns. There's a lot of intel within that. We work with 17,000 brands in terms of absorbing their product specifications. So we actually know the size and fit of every garment. So, and we have over 200 million registered users. So that means that if I go to Bowden, who's one of our UK retailers. And I am looking at, and I purchased a sort of a lovely cashmere jumper. And then I go to Ralph Lauren because Ralph and Bowden are TrueFit customers. I will automatically be recognized when I land on Ralph Lauren, and also the size that I've purchased, and by answering some quick questions, the size that the algorithm recognizes me to be is instantly shown for that designer across every touch point of the website. So this is where we go into true personalization. So there's that element, but then there's also attribution, style attribution. And the perfect example is when I look at my wardrobe. I have 100 black shirts, but every single black shirt, I know specifically what it's there for. But my husband will just look at it and will go, why do you need another black shirt? So it's quite similar when an e-com retailer makes a style recommendation. What we need to understand is the true styleability of every customer and also of every product. So we have a team in Mumbai who are amazing. They tag every product with about 30 data points relevant to style, fabric, stretch, any particular detail, etc. So that when I land back onto Ralph Lauren, the algorithm, the platform knows instinctively what my style is. And I think that the challenge with fashion and taking that online, and this is where personalization plays such a key role, because it's not good enough to just show me styles that pertain to brands that I've already bought into, or the generic kind of color or a category, because I don't wear dresses, I don't wear skirts. So don't show me any of those. I never wear color other than black or white or grey. So I never wear pinks or reds or purples. I never wear print. So don't show me any of that. And we've got so used to this poor style recommendation where actually it's the tags and the rules around what gets shown just aren't sophisticated enough for the customer and where she is sort of in today, in the world, in what she's seeing and the service she's getting elsewhere.
Yeah. So
that's a brief overview.
Yeah. So I suppose some companies might be super basic and just say, you only buy black clothing, so let's just show you black clothing. Another might say, you buy black tops, so show you our range of black tops. But with TrueFit, you'd be able to say, well, it's this specific type of top in a certain fit and size. That's what you always buy. Therefore, only show you those. Well, not only, but. Because
there are, in terms of the trends and, the details on a particular garment, there are things that, I'm an extremely classic purchaser in my style. So I don't want I don't want bells, whistles, or anything like that. So don't show it to me. And the idea that it's just, okay, I'm just going to show you styles or products that when we look at your sales history relate more to color, trend, sort of a range or category or designer. That is so 2008. It's embarrassing. And we need to stop, this buzzword personalization. People need to put their money where their mouth is, because I'd say that Coke cans at one point had more personalization than quite a few sort of retail platforms.
Yeah. I mean, I know you do get some people who are very brand loyal and will only shop with a certain brand or certain brands. I know that myself, I'm more of a style and fit person. If a brand has the t-shirt or trousers or whatever in the style and fit that I like, then they're an option for me to buy from. But there's always that problem of what does this company's size mean compared to this company's size? What's their definition of fit? And that's where all these problems come in, which is why in some cases I do end up very brand loyal, because I just know this company has the product that fits me. And I've got to a point where I just don't trust other brands because I've ended up returning products, and it's just why take the risk when I can buy from this one brand again.
And also the challenge has been that there has been a lack of consistency across the various UK retailers and high street, but also there's a lack of consistency within various brands. And that is because it depends where the item was manufactured. And so, as an industry, we know that it causes us enormous pain points from loss of margin. Because, if it's frustrating for you and you choose to go where you trust the retailer and the size, it means sort of a real sort of financial hit for that retailer and brand. So, with the True Experience platform, it really is such an exciting opportunity to tidy up and get a handle of understanding. Okay, so let's say that you can't overcome the inconsistency that might be seen within a brand. Okay, so in that case, you absolutely need to be having and working with a solution, a digital solution that can support and give a better customer experience. Because I'm sure if you were to, to sort of go onto a brand which you haven't purchased before, if you then are able to reference what size you are within that brand, and even if there's a particular style, then we would then feed you the recommended size. And we do that because essentially everything, all the data that's in our genome, is essentially the algorithm is placing these products in groups of similar size, regardless of actually if they are a similar size.
Yeah.
We all know that, in the US, there's a size skew. So, the style range in the US tends to come up big. In Italy and France, they tend to come up small. Spain seems to be okay. We've got the Nordics and Germany that tend to skew a little bit larger. The UK is a mishmash of everything.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose one of the issues we've got is the fact that so many brands use small, medium, large. Yeah. But like you said, the differences between each brand is there, but also each brand might have different products that use the same category for the customer, but also have different specifications in the actual make of the product.
I mean, it's been a real pain point headache for the industry. And I feel that's, to a certain extent, the sort of personalization and the sort of digital transformation of many retailers, traditional retailers, who were so focused and had such a legacy footprint on the high street where the customer would sort of try on the item, because they weren't sort of sufficiently advanced when COVID hit and stores were closed. They really missed out on this sort of growth and this opportunity. So now they're playing catch up. And I think that the challenge and the complexity was that, we know these brands knew that they had these issues with size and fit, lack of consistency, but actually there's always a bigger problem. The investment in sort of IT and tech, there's always something a little bit more exciting maybe to sort of make large investments in if you're sort of looking at your IT infrastructure or replatforming. So it was just it was a perfect storm.
Yeah, I think when it comes to tech and product, there's always replatforming or a new database to migrate to or something, which tends to take their priority until marketing or operations or whoever can kind of push through this sort of project. What would be some of the like key direct benefits to a business of using a tool like TrueFit?
So it's all about really, truly understanding your customer to a really kind of deep level. But ultimately, why do you want to get to understand your customer? Because actually we always want to be able to sell more and more frequently to our customer. So how do we do that? We need to step back and we need to say, okay, well, we need to understand what they like, what they buy, what are they buying elsewhere? And we can support with that insight and data as well. So that gives then the retailer or the brand the understanding of, okay, so maybe this is an opportunity for us to widen our range. But also it's about, I guess for me, the way I see it, it's really about protecting margin and driving stronger full price selling. How do we drive loyalty and engagement? For a long time, the idea was, let's push out some discounts and incentivize and trigger purchase. That is now white noise to a customer. Actually, what they want is they want great product. They want to be on a website where they feel that, you belong. If you can land on a website and you go onto a product listing page and actually all the products listed are relevant to your size, your style affinity, and things that you might like as well, and products that you are purchasing on another site, but maybe you don't know that we offer that and we do that range. So it's about really showing the customer more of your product portfolio, but very much curated to them. So that's where I want us to go and where I want us to be in terms of delighting the customer. That's what drives loyalty, and we prove it through our key metrics. We're able to see that we drive up conversion, we drive up AOV and AOF. Ultimately, we drive up sort of incremental revenue. So, those are all the validations that it's working.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, so I talk about kind of customer value a lot, customer value optimization. So I think this would be really useful in email marketing particularly, or push notifications as well, where like instead of getting that email which just says, here's a bunch of products we want to sell to you, and also they all happen to be 15% off, you can say, here are some new products that we think are perfect for you. And then you open up that email and it's your style. You can almost see yourself wearing that product.
Completely. And that's one of the other products or parts of the stack, parts of the platform. We work on product feeds, which are specific to that retailer brand, their consumer, but also potential future opportunities to upsell and broaden out the range. So again, it's about tailoring not only the online experience, but it's then going through to CRM, it's then going through to sort of other feeds. And that's what makes it really, really exciting. And look, for me, my passion stems in living and breathing through the eyes of the customer. So I'm always looking at how can we make, because, in retail and specifically fashion, we have to remember what our purpose is. And our purpose is to make the customer feel great about what they've bought, great about themselves. If we get ourselves back into that, the first part of delighting the customer in Retail 101 is, making sure you give them the product that that they want. And also from an affordability perspective, because that's also important to avoid having to incentivize and give discounts, being the only time that your customer sort of is purchasing. Maybe that's because there's an affordability issue. So, all these sorts of things in the are key to really delighting the customer, which ultimately drives loyalty. If you can attribute your brand, your retail, with a sense of delight, you create the first hook of driving loyalty.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any kind of misconceptions around using this kind of detail in personalization? I think I've seen some stats. I can't remember what the number was now, but quite a large number of consumers are willing to hand over personal information, data, in order to get a more personalized experience. So that's from a consumer point of view. That's not an issue. So what is holding back businesses? What's making them think this isn't worth it, or it's not right for us?
I think it's the first, there are two misconceptions. The first is this thinking that data is scary. And I think that stems from a lack of real understanding of the true A to Zs of data that are involved. So we work with what is termed as low risk data, because we don't actually hold any sort of personal information, other than size. So actually there's nothing that can happen with that data. Now, I appreciate that, that data is, the thing is, data's not going anywhere. So we need to kind of, first of all, get our heads around it. But to put personalization data at our level into this pot that, it's dangerous, it's just too broad. We spent a long time talking to our new potential partners specifically around the points of data. And I feel that, there was this huge scare, rightly so, Cambridge Analytica. And I feel that the customer, like you say, the customer is, I think there was this data, wasn't there? 90% of consumers are willing to share their data. I think it came from Smarter HQ. The customer is more advanced in what they're prepared to give away than the retailer's willing to look into. I think they just look at data and they feel it's dangerous, don't touch it. But it really isn't. It's sort of, you just need to understand and inform yourself.
Yeah, I think some of that probably comes out of things like GDPR, where the regulations and the regulatory bodies say you can't be really careful with personal data. You've got to delete it if you're not using it. You've got to do all these things, and it makes brands think that must be what the customer wants, because that must be feeding into the regulations, and that's why the regulations are coming in. But actually, it's just don't abuse the data. That's the real thing. Totally. People are happy with the brand having that data. It's brands who are either really negligent with it and let that data get stolen, or brands who sell the data, or brands, I guess brands that just spam, and those are the ones who aren't actually collecting that detailed data. They're just, they collect email address and all that, and then just hammer people with emails. And that makes people get upset about handing over their email address. But I think that there was a need for this cleaning up, because the amount of spam we would all get hit with was, it really damaged the sort of email as what was once a really strong channel for sales and revenue. Because you've got some people who, and my husband, one of them, he's got one account that he uses for, I guess he never checks it. And that's where all his sort of orders, I guess, go. And that's where he gets all his spam. But anything that's really of value, he gets sent to, his consultant's address or his sort of work address. So you have to sort of understand that, we needed to tidy up because it was getting very, very sloppy, and very ineffective. But actually, it really is not this scary beast.
it's about understanding what types of data are you dealing with in, and some of it is common sense. And some of it is a little bit more complex. We're luckily in the area of a little bit more common sense, because it's low risk data. It's, the most damaging thing you could ever get from the data from me is what size underwear I wear. And, listen, I'd rather you didn't know, but you can't really do anything with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Just on the GDPR topic, it'd be really interesting if there is any data out there about the impact it's had, because I always felt that really it's only going to be damaging, or it's only going to be not damaging, but restrictive to brands who are genuine brands, but just not very good at what they do. The best brands, nothing really changes because they just crack on being good at what they do. And spammers will just continue spamming because they'll find ways to avoid being punished. So
are you talking about from GDPR, the effectiveness of emails as a revenue?
Well, I think
channel?
email's still fantastic. I think it's still one of the best channels there is. But the impact it's had in terms of GDPR's had in terms of trying to clean up the email marketing landscape.
Yeah.
I think it's held back smaller companies and companies who are maybe less experienced in email marketing, and so just aren't very good at what they're doing, and therefore they're being more restrictive internally as to what they do with their email marketing. But for sure. I don't think it's cut back on the spam I receive, because the spammers don't care. Maybe a tiny bit, but I still get huge amounts.
I think it's, you see, from when I look at my purchasing habits, I am very, email just does not, is not what is going to lead me, in this kind of, trance-like state to the checkout. For me, what I find really sort of amazing is how social shopping, so Instagram is a dangerous sort of retail channel for me, because you can quite easily find yourself in a trance when you're just sort of swiping down, when you're looking through the feeds. But for me, it's really that online experience, on-site experience, and show me the right product, ticking all the boxes from affordability to style to fit. It's sort of the holy trinity kind of thing. That's so I'm not an email. Then I'm a huge skeptic, having been on the other side of the desk, as I call it, being a retailer. Retail killed my festive spirit. Christmas is just never the same since I've been in retail.
Yeah, I mean, I'm similar. I think I don't think I buy because of email much at all. There might be the odd one, and it'll normally be a promotion if it does. But it's very, very rare that it'll drive a purchase from me, because I normally, most of the time, when I want something, I'll just go and buy it. And it's normally because it's come to my mind that I think, cool, I'll go and get that. I'll hop online and just buy it. Therefore, the emails, there's such a rare occasion when an email catches me at that moment where I do actually want what that email is offering.
Totally.
Yeah. So, what are some of the key things brands need to be considering if they want to get into this, this kind of next level of personalization?
It's really interesting. Every sort of strategic partner, new potential partner that I talk to, they all come with very different thoughts of what their problem is. And actually it's quite frequently quite sort of regularly sort of the same issues across all of them. But as an example, with Bowden, they were on a mission to improve sort of online experience, but they recognized that often their customers were sample sizing. So that's where you buy the same product in multiple sizes to avoid sort of disappointment if you just buy and make an assumption on one fit. It's quite a common thing. And I'm always surprised by customers who make multiple sort of size purchases. It's hugely inefficient. It's hugely damaging from an operational profit perspective. It was not only is it sort of frustrating for the customer, but it puts friction in the way of purchase. But it was also, as I said, costing them a lot of money, the shipping and shipping back of an inevitable sort of return of one of those or more of the garments that was either too big or too small. Well, we worked with them.
Just on that, I think part of that, and this is something that does kind of bother me in the industry, it's the just the increase in free returns we've seen everywhere. Because everywhere offers free returns, why would you not do that? You get free delivery because you're going to spend enough. You'll get free returns. So order the 3 sizes, keep the one you want, return the others. The industry has made it too easy to do that.
Despite
the cost and problems that it causes.
I think it was, and I think there came a time where there was a period where actually I think many brands and retailers actually didn't know the true cost of certain sort of negative sort of purchasing behaviours. What we found when we worked with them to eliminate the sort of that guesswork with the personalisation strategy was we sort of helped provide this high fidelity fit and size recommendation really based on data on each customer's personal preference. This helped them improve sort of shopper confidence and online experience and reduce sort of the returns. So they've seen this sort of they saw a 5.1% lift to incremental revenue during the first quarter of 2020, plus an increase of conversion rate of about 3.6% from shoppers using TrueFit. So what that tends to mean is then the customer probably purchases more frequently because there's this elimination of a barrier, but also because they're not buying 3 items of that one style and returning 2 of them, they're more likely to buy 3 items of different styles. And, God willing, keeping all of them or only returning one of them. And the only one that they're returning is because, it's not to do with returns or size and fit rather. Is to do with, I didn't like the style. Yeah. We're never going to be able to eliminate all returns because not all returns are linked to size and fit. We've got to remember that. Some of it is just like, if you take 5 items into your local M&S, try it on in the changing room. Some of them just not going to, some of them won't fit, but some of them will just be like, oh no, that doesn't look right on me. I didn't like the colour or whatever it might be. Yep. So it's really interesting. I get so passionate about this because it's a pain that I've lived and breathed through for many, many years on the other side of the desk when I was a retailer.
Yeah. And I think, because even with this idea of I might be buying these 3 items or 3 different sizes of the same item, and I know I'm going to return at least 2 of them, if not 3. Mm. Therefore, I'm only going to pay for one of them. That doesn't mean that they've got much more money to spend, because that money's still going to come out. So if they're thinking I've got, £100 to spend, let's say £100 to spend. So they put those 3 items in the bag and that reaches £100. They haven't got space to then buy 2 other products, because also they're probably going to want to buy 3 different sizes or maybe 2 different sizes of those products as well. So by using something like TrueFit, you can basically say, this is the size for you. This is the one you want to buy. So they can buy those 3 different products and hopefully keep all 3. And then you're going to get that full kind of share of wallet, I guess. You're going to get that full £100. Hopefully with no return. But
then there's, because there's also not only the inconvenience of, the operational pain from knowing that you're sort of, you're going to have some of those items back. You then got stock that's out of the system. You've got stock that then needs to be repurposed, and sort of either steamed or checked. And every person in the warehouse that has to touch that garment is an extra financial sort of, it's extra pennies, or points of pennies, but it all adds up if you're a large, over £1 billion sort of retailer, fashion retailer. And also don't forget that the lower the price point, such as, certain sort of high street brands, those sort of garments have only got a certain amount of returns in them before they become then, you just can't sell them.
Yeah.
They're not sellable. So then they have to go into this sort of different part of the business, and essentially it's a stock write-off. So again, it's another part of just tidying up this supply chain, truly understanding, it's personalization, not just for the customer, but for your own business as well. It's that sanity of efficiency, which I love. I love efficiencies.
Yeah. I think I saw, it might have been a couple of years ago, someone at I think it was ASOS, mentioned that they get about 40% return rate, which is insane. Yeah. But I think they offer free returns on everything. And I'm sure there were people when I was still back in an office working for a company, I'm sure there were people who were ordering items, getting it delivered to the office, and those items, the only time they left the office again was to go back to ASOS. They never even made it home because they'd just quickly check them out in the office. If they didn't like them, they'd just wrap them back up and send them back. Just because I don't want to move off topic too much with this question, but I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts on things like Klarna, which allow people to obviously pay installments, but also pay later and pay after 30 days. Yeah. So combined with free delivery, free returns, you could load up a bag with £1,500 worth of product and send it all back because you've not had to pay anything. I mean, there might be I think there are some restrictions in Klarna on what you can spend, but just quickly, what are your thoughts on that then?
I'm a big fan of Klarna, and I tell you why. It's this democratization to a certain extent. So when I worked at Shop Direct, Shop Direct they're a retailer, but they're also a lender too. So that kind of really started to educate me in what is essentially store credit. Klarna, I think, is the real sort of the way that they have a very sensitive approach to credit. They're very responsible, and they drive a real sort of increasing conversion for many of the partners that they sit on. So it's one of those really, I know that many people kind of like thought, oh, it's just a little bit grubby, and I don't mean to say that sort of in a negative way. But I've always been sort of very much, listen, you have to understand and appreciate that there are many people who would love to be able to buy more of your brand, or if they're buying it already, more frequently, obviously, or into the higher sort of levels of price point, or they aspire to buy your brand, and this is an option that helps them. So actually what it does is it drives an incremental customer to your channel. So when you're looking at, the accessible luxury sector, it's a real game changer. That's kind of where when I joined Berry, and I was launching the premium platform, very exclusive, and I was talking to Moschino or Vivienne Westwood or Paul Smith, and I was saying, listen, to give the customer who aspires to buy your brand the ability to buy it or buy more frequently, you will have an extremely loyal customer, but you're driving an incremental customer. This is a customer who will not be buying, this brand from anywhere else. So I feel that it's, I do like Klarna, I must say, and I have used it. It's a really easy experience. And Yeah, but I know it's a hard one for many people, but many people don't like it.
Mm. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, I've seen it used a lot. I've seen the numbers. Yeah, the numbers are great. So there's definitely a positive effect in terms of, average order values, conversion rates and things. But yeah, I just wonder if it's also contributing to that kind of, maybe additional returns and that kind of logistical problem.
Yeah, but you see, I think that's not necessarily at Klarna's it's not a Klarna's feat to take that burden. I think it's on if a retailer or a brand doesn't want to drive efficiencies and remove those operational losses for these, the returns and sample sizing or sequential sizing. So that's when I buy a small and it's the wrong size, I return it and I buy another different size. That's what the industry should be focused on, because then happy days, ultimately you can really drive some amazing momentum and some great full price selling. If you have a duo of a personalization stack that's showing the customer exactly what they want, plus, a payment tool that democratizes the affordability, then, it's, we're helping to get the industry sort of in a good place.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think are the big trends that we're going to be seeing over the next kind of 18 months? I guess obviously it has to be a bit driven by business, but maybe in how consumers want to see things personalized as well, what consumers will want.
Well, look, I think the customer is very much ahead of retail and the industry in terms of their want for a more personalized experience. So it's on us to step up. I think when we look at from an industry perspective, it's going to be all about protecting margin. Absolutely. It's, that's the way that we get through 2021. It's about, being hyper aware of anything that eats into your margin, especially, cost of customer acquisition. I think it's going to be very much a focus on retention. How do you sort of retain, the volumes of customers? You understand who they are. You give them the product that they want at the price that they're looking for, even potentially with a Klarna to support the purchase. But, that's going to be really important. I think, I've always said that, in the early 2000s, it was e-com that disrupted the sector. Today, it's the customer that's disrupting the sector. The customer is more ahead of the retail industry from a digital sort of acceleration, the retail sector. But today it's the customer that's disrupting the retail sector. And they're much more advanced and sophisticated in terms of their expectations. So now it's our job to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the increased usage of third-party tools that help retailers do that is definitely helping. It also means that if your competitor has those tools and you don't, then the customer expectations get set higher by your competitors, and you're going to fall behind by not being able to provide those options. Things like Klarna. If you don't have Klarna or a Klarna competitor on your website, there is the risk that the customer will go somewhere else and go look for that product. Yeah. It is, I think it is kind of seen as that, it's not just buy now, pay later. Excellent. I've got a month to pay off for these clothing or whatever. I think there's a bit of a security thing maybe as well. People thinking, I don't have to worry about getting my money back if I return my products and then things like that.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, that what makes us great retailers is to put ourselves back in to think like a customer, and not think like a retailer. So a lot of the time when I'm any part of an experience that I used to when I was either at Exclusive or Wardrobe, any part of the customer journey, I would go back to the basics of what do I want versus as a retailer, how do I want you to behave? Because we can't do that unless we have highly sophisticated sort of tools to enhance that customer journey. But really, it's just a fascinating. I always say it's a real privilege to work in retail at this sort of pivotal time, because we can really help influence the way the customer browses and shops. This is why I love retail.
Yeah, I'm seeing massive changes with the clients I'm working with, and desire to take things to the next level as well, and give people a very different customer experience. It's no longer just about, we need to re-platform, upgrade our website, have a better design. There's a lot more. What should that design be? Like, do we want to just be a catalog website for e-commerce, or is there a way we can give people that actual kind of better customer journey and purchasing experience?
Yeah, totally.
Do you have any pet peeves when it comes to marketing?
I have a peeve for every occasion. I am extremely tricky person to try and please. You know what I hate? I've got many things. Cyber stalking, I can't stand it. Again, it's so, we're so past those days where you would be stalked by product that you've just happened. Heaven forbid it's an item that either you made a mistake and clicked on it, or you were looking at some random item on behalf of someone else, and then that damn thing follows you around. Or heaven forbid, and this has happened to me as well, where I've clicked on an item, I've then subsequently gone back, purchased it, but then that item is still stalking me wherever I go. I think it's just sloppy stuff like that drives me mad. And at that point, I think, well, more fool you, because you're going to be paying for this item to stalk me.
Yeah. It's that annoys me as well, because I don't really see that as, most of the time I don't see that as bad marketing. I see it as sloppy.
Yeah.
Like it's not a bad marketing tactic. It's the retargeting tactic is fine. It's just you've been sloppy and not set it up properly and not taken into account certain pieces of data.
And I think it should also be relevant there should be stricter rules that one applies to the sort of retargeting campaign, as an example. It's just, again, I just think it's something that was really prevalent, but actually I think the customer is so, they're kind of like just numb to it, because they know what we're doing as an industry, and they're just simply not interested.
Yeah. It does work, because, it is still a thing. I know loads of people working it, using it really well. But I think if I've looked at a product and left the website, I'm not really interested right now, or I might be distracted or something. But if you bring that product back to me tomorrow, you might catch me at the moment where I say, oh yeah, no, I do want this. Or I might just not be interested and I've changed my mind completely.
But also be canny about it. Look at, is the thing that stopped me from purchasing, is it because there's a consideration in price point? If it's because stuff like that, okay. I still think there's something about just constantly seeing, it's like, oh geez, not you again. Where you're actually more likely to be sick to death of seeing the thing follow you around. But people just need to apply a little bit more logic and, not so much blanket rules. Because, again, it's just blanket rules that spray and pray approach, which I've never appreciated as a customer.
Yeah, absolutely. And so finally, do you think there's any particular aspect of marketing that's underrated at the moment? I think the idea of building
an experience and curating an edit that makes customers feel like they belong is essentially what marketing is all about. And I think sometimes people have forgotten that. And even, that's even more important when it comes to fashion, because we're all part of fashion, tribes. So in some ways, it's quite easy to dissect us because, we're not, as much as we like to think we're individuals, we're really not. All our behaviors and likes are, can be tracked and understood, analysed, and also predicted for the future. I think, again, the customer wants to take back control of how they engage with the customer and the types of relationships that they want from retailers. And they're kind of reimagining their own rules. And so therefore the retailers need to adapt. So digital marketing is needed more than ever, and intelligent digital marketing is needed more than ever. And I think that starts with the retail one-on-one of, understanding your customer and creating a personalized experience for them, which, goes as deep as the product feeds on your, on the listing page.
Yeah, completely agree. I think it's what you said earlier about, you need to view the business as a consumer, not from an internal point of view, because you're always you're going to have a completely different opinion on it if you're thinking about things from the business point of view.
Totally.
Whereas, if you just think, right, what would I want? If I stumbled across this website, because I'd seen an advert or whatever, what would I want to experience on this website that would get me to purchase?
No, absolutely.
And a lot of the time, the answer is definitely not a massive banner with a discount or timers or, those sort of little kind of not tricks, but those things which are just not very subtle and kind of get ignored a lot if they're not used correctly.
Well, absolutely. And, find other ways of delighting the customer that, that isn't just the lazy sort of lever of sort of trotting out the discount codes, but actually, get to know them, get to understand them and, and drive a healthier business. I mean, that's what everyone should aspire to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100% agree with you. Awesome stuff. Really great talking about personalization. I think, it'd be really great to see more businesses taking it to that next level and not just recommending kind of similar categories to what you've picked before. So, what's the best way of finding out more if people want to get in touch with you? Or my email is scurran@truefit.com, or go to TrueFit.com, our website, and, you can request a live demo or more information. We've got some amazing sort of case studies as well. I feel free to reach out via email. Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah.
It's a pleasure. And thank you so much. I've thoroughly enjoyed putting the retail world to rights with you.
It's no longer enough to just drop your customer's first name at the start of an email and then dump a load of random products in, maybe segmented by gender or, a loose category. You need to be using far more detail in the data and personalizing as much of the customer experience as possible on pretty much a one-to-one basis. We should be done with the days of just blasting out emails with some basic segmentation and saying, all right, you've bought men's shirts before, so here are some more men's shirts. Now we need to be looking at, what style of shirt did they buy? What colors did they buy? Are there any particular items they buy alongside those shirts? If you don't have that data or don't really know where to start, try interviewing some customers. Send them a survey asking what their top use cases are, what styles they prefer. Get on the phone with a bunch of people to see how they perceive your brand as well. All this info will then help you work out what personalization you need to be looking at and what's going to work for your business and your audience. If you'd like to find out more, head over to TrueFit.com or find Sarah on LinkedIn. Any other podcast questions, feedback, guest requests, etc., just send them over to will@customerswhoclick.com. Next up, I'm speaking with Charlotte Purvis, all about customer service and how integral it is to a business. But until then, keep those customers clicking.